All right. Good evening and welcome. My name is Jessica Thomas. I'm the Managing Director of the Center for Sustainable Enterprise here at UNC Kenan-Flagler. And I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight to join us in this conversation around how entrepreneurship can save our planet. I know a big topic and a big vision, but I think the speakers here in this room and all of us here can really tackle this question here tonight. We're really honored here at CSC to co-host this evening's event along with the MBA Net Impact Chapter, the Undergraduate Net Impact Chapter, and the Energy Club here at UNC Kenan-Flagler. And we're really honored to be a part of this UNC Global Entrepreneurship Week. I wanted to recognize the support and sponsorship in particular, from Innovate at Carolina, as well as the Kenan Institute of Private Enterprise, along with a number of other sponsors and supporters from across campus and really around the Triangle who've made this important week possible. I also wanted to recognize Mathilde Verdier, who's here in the room tonight, who's really spearheaded this entire UNC Global Entrepreneurship Week and who I think really represents the spirit of entrepreneurship. So thank you so much, Mathilde, for your role and for all of your hard work. We are absolutely delighted to be a part of this conversation focused on how entrepreneurship can be an engine for global social and environmental change. And with that in mind, wanted to play a brief video by the Kauffman Foundation, really the founders of Global Entrepreneurship Week, focused on that topic. So if you'll bear with us for just a few minutes, we wanted to go ahead and play a brief video.
I'm Jonathan Ortmans, and I'm with Global Entrepreneurship Week. Global Entrepreneurship Week is challenging to understand in some respects because it's 35,000 events happening at the same time in 125 different countries. Global Entrepreneurship Week offers you the opportunity to come and test your aptitude, join a networking event, come and meet a mentor, come and experience a boot camp, come and experience some other element of the startup community in your city, in your town, and learn about whether or not at some point in your life you may have the interest and the skill to be able to join a startup. And I think this has been effective in allowing people to feel that they're not only driving more of their fellow citizens to consider the path of entrepreneurship in their own countries, but they're learning and participating with people from other nations. It's really in the hearts and the minds of the individuals in each of these countries. There's a way that now we think entrepreneurs might be the force for change in their countries for things beyond just economic change, that they can actually make the world a better place. The field of entrepreneurship is no longer something of narrow commercial significance. It's something of more cultural consequence. It's something that represents the possibility of human endeavor for the benefit of all. The globalization of startup communities actually gives the world a much better chance at solving some of the intractable challenges of the decades past. So in a sense, we see more citizens trying their hand at helping the world innovate its way out of its challenges. The world needs more entrepreneurs. It's a question of inspiring more people to recognize that it's more important to the future of their societies than they previously recognized. Global Entrepreneurship Week is an idea bigger than all of the communities that make it up, and it represents something that we can all aspire to, which is to be part of one global community of people ferreting out better ways of doing things and improving the lives of our citizens.
Thanks, Tracy. And so, as you can see, tonight's event is really one of over 35,000 events happening around the world this week, focused on the power of entrepreneurship to change the world, the power of visionary entrepreneurs to create significant social and environmental change. And we're very fortunate this evening to have a number of those visionary entrepreneurs with us, starting with Tom Szaky, our keynote, the founder and CEO of TerraCycle, as well as our panelists, Maria Kingery, founder of Southern Energy Management, Daniel Whitaker, the founder of Green Planet Catering, and joining us remotely soon will be Sam Amende, the founder of NZ Footwear. And so with that, I really wanted to invite you to be a part of this exciting conversation that we're having, to join us for the networking event after the panel that will include some other visionary entrepreneurs. And so with that, I'd like to invite up Tyler Bench, who is the president of the Undergraduate and Impact chapter, to introduce our keynote. Come on up, Tyler. Thanks.
Thanks, Jessica. So as Jessica mentioned, I'm president of the Undergraduate Net Impact Club, which provides resources to UNC undergraduate students that are interested in environmental and social justice. So definitely take the opportunity to learn more about that afterwards if you are one of those students. But we're here to talk about how entrepreneurship can save our planet, which is why I'm especially excited to introduce Tom Szaky, whose company, TerraCycle, is one of the fastest growing green businesses in the world. TerraCycle is creating its own solution to the global waste problem by partnering with over 20 million people in over 20 countries to create useful products, over 1,500 of them, from waste, and sell them at some of the world's largest retailers. And Tom himself is quite an extraordinary young person. Without going into the whole detailed list of awards and accolades, I think it's relevant to say that Tom beat out Mark Zuckerberg to make Inc.'s the #1 spot in Inc.'s magazine's 30 CEOs under 30. But with that being said, the environmental crisis is too big of a problem to solve with just one person and just one organization. So hopefully his words will inspire some of you all to have your own ideas and create your own solutions when you walk out of here tonight. So please join me in welcoming Tom to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very excited for the conversation today to tell you a little bit about what we do, sort of the story of how this all came to be, and then also to be a part of the panel and answer any questions you may have. My goal today is really to tell you about TerraCycle, but really more to answer this question, because this is the center question of why we created this business 10 years ago. 10 years ago, as a freshman in undergrad, came up with this concept, ended up leaving school by sophomore year to build TerraCycle, and today we operate in 22 countries. We have about 110 employees and 32 million people actively collecting waste from cigarette butts all the way to dirty diapers, chip bags, and we're able to solve it all. Before I go into all this, I wanted to play you a little video to give you some context, because you'll get a sense to see what we're really all about. So I'm going to play that for you first.
I was a freshman at Princeton, and I didn't really have any intention of starting a social business. But I dropped out of school 8 years ago because I just fell in love with the concept of garbage. Our major global solution for garbage: put it in a pile or burn it. These are not sophisticated solutions. And that's how TerraCycle came to be, to help eliminate the idea of waste by making things that are non-recyclable, recyclable. Can a plastic bag technically be recycled? 100%. Can a candy wrapper? 100%. And we do it. We're the biggest collector and processor of wrappers, chip bags, and other flexible packaging in the world. But you need a unique system, because on its own, the economics don't work. Our collectors are the most vital aspect of our business. We have close to 26 million people sending us this waste. And that whole cost is funded by major consumer product companies. because they found that the public was craving a solution to their waste.
There's a potential new thing.
What is that?
Fire hose.
We were thinking of accessories.
Fire hose pothole.
Our team of scientists and our team of designers look at every type of waste stream and identify what are the solutions for each one, because really each type of garbage has a different heartbeat. Juice pouches become backpacks. Chip bags can melt into an injection moldable plastic, and with dirty diapers, the superabsorbent polymer ends up being used in the farming industry, so the soil has better water retention, and the plastic is made into something like a park bench. We have evaluated every consumer waste stream, and every type of garbage has a solution. Now, of course, if we stopped buying stuff, none of these problems would exist. We are on a consumption fix. Our grandparents, they had way less stuff. When you bought a table, you would buy it with an intention of having it passed down to your kids and their kids and so on. Then we went out of the Great Depression, we went into the biggest global war we have ever seen, and we wanted to rebound from that. The idea of consumption and the idea of disposable products solved the failure in the economy. I don't think TerraCycle would have succeeded 20 years ago or 30 years ago, but we're tapping into this desire that is so deep amongst everyone to do the right environmental thing. We're collecting millions of pieces of waste every day. And so while people are addicted to consumption, and so am I, we are willing to try to solve it.
Just wanted to give you a little taste. So how did this all start? The genesis for TerraCycle actually started in Montreal. I was originally from Hungary, but then went to high school in Toronto. And I came to school in the US, in New Jersey, but all my friends went to Montreal. And basically, once we all got into school, we sort of gave up for 6 months while we could. We discovered pot, we started growing it. That's my friend growing it. And we had a really big problem in that this gardening is not easy stuff. And we found that we couldn't really make it work. And one day I get a call, really excited call, saying, hey, you got to drive up from Jersey and come visit us because we finally solved the problem. And what they had done is they'd taken organic waste, this stuff, fed it to worms, and the plants started doing incredibly well. Obviously a very enlightening, awesome moment. But what got me really excited was the concept of taking a negative garbage and making it a positive. So I came back to school, wrote up a business plan, and realized no one had cornered the market on worm poop before. And my friends and I, we even invented this unique machine. This is the actual machine installed later in a research greenhouse that converted about 2,000 pounds of organic waste, this stuff, into worm poop within 7 days. And the way it worked, just to sort of walk you through it, is this tub here, it's like a rotating vessel. You put the organic waste inside, it rotates, naturally microorganisms eat it. It's sort of like an in-vessel composter. Within 24 hours, it's about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and it comes down and sort of pre-cooking it for the worms. And then this machine is sort of a worm toilet, because this actually idea came to me while sitting on a toilet, because I realized, what is the real purpose of a toilet? It's a beautiful, porcelain or a ceramic chair. It's comfortable. It sometimes even heats your butt and it sends air and all sorts of fun things. But what is its functional purpose? And the functional purpose of a toilet is simply to move whatever you put in it away from you as quickly as possible. It doesn't deal with it. It just moves it away. And what it says is no animal, including us, wants to hang out near our own poop, unless anyone objects. And same concept here. Basically, the organic waste cooked now would go into the middle, spread out onto the conveyor belts. The worms would move in an upward direction towards the organic waste, leaving their poop behind. And the conveyor belts would move in the opposite direction, at about, which was about an inch every 5 hours, and worm poop would be falling off the edge. That's how it all began. We ended up financing ourselves initially by just bankrupting the credit cards our parents, my friend and I had given us, my parents had given us and him. And then we also started looking at entering business plan contests. If you're looking at starting a business plan contests are phenomenal, because you can raise $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. You can really learn how to present. You can really refine your business. And there's some really big ones out there, $500,000, $1 million prizes. We had an interesting turning point in April 2003, which is we had at this point won about 7 business plan contests, raised about $100,000, able to get our company going, but by this time we'd spent it all and had about $500 in our bank account. We had developed a lot of worm poop. We'd even been able to liquefy it, which was pretty cool. And we ended up winning a contest for $1 million of financing. The challenge was it wasn't just a gift, it was financing, and so we ended up turning the money down because they wanted us to change the business, defocus garbage, and so on and so forth. We were very triumphant, but very broke. And that's been sort of an interesting moment. Every time we've had sort of a challenge like this, we've come back to that question of what is waste. And for TerraCycle, the answer became this in our first ever product, which was we found since we couldn't even afford packaging, we went through everyone's recycling container, sorted out everyone's used soda bottle, realized two very important things. One, it's illegal to go through people's garbage. I ended up spending a night in jail, sort of reflecting on this lesson. And the other is that garbage is highly standardized. In the world of soda bottles, there's only 4 possible types of bottles. There's a half liter, which is your water bottle, the 20 ounce, which is your Coke and Pepsi bottle, 1 liter and 2 liter. Now, sure, there's other versions, but they're so small in percentage, it doesn't really matter. Now, within every type of bottle, like this is a Pepsi bottle, if you compare a Coke bottle, there's no difference except the contour or the color of the plastic, which means the cap is the same, the bottom is the same, and this is very important if you want to think about high-speed bottling used soda bottles. So this became TerraCycle's first product. Basically, let me just walk you through it. It's a used soda bottle. You take off the label, refill it. Still in the world, the only time reuse of a soda bottle has ever been done in the past 10 years. It sort of kills me that we're still the only ones doing direct reuse. Then we actually took a used trigger head, because when you change the colors of products, many times there's a lot of waste generated. And the only aspect that was new was the label, because the label had to contour to different shaped bottles, Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper bottles. And that was sort of really interesting. We had this really big turning point, but came into a very, very big innovation. From there, we thought, okay, now we need to get distribution. And instead of going through little retailers, we decided why not go to the very biggest retailer, Walmart, and see if they would pick up the product. So now, of course, they wouldn't take our call. So the way we grappled with this issue was we just called them every hour on the hour from different phone numbers. So you don't get the same phone number constantly popping up. You leave one nice voicemail, not 10. And after about 20 days of doing this, they gave us a meeting in Arkansas. We went down and presented. They ended up ordering 100,000 bottles. Mind you, it was me and my friend in our dorm room. We had no factory, nothing, just one prototype. Actually with a paper label too, that was the joke in it. And anyway, we convinced them to give us the order because not only was it a great product, we had good science behind it, not only did it compete in all sort of ways, it was very green, but it was cheaper because it was made from waste. And that was our first sale ever. We went back to Princeton to try to bottle all this stuff, got all our friends together over a break. We had a bunch of guys around collecting soda bottles and a bunch of people taking off the labels. We were putting the worm poop in with funnels. My favorite part in the whole manual production of these first 100,000 bottles was how we got the labels on, which is we got 4 hair dryers from Target, put them like this, and then you dip the bottle in this hair dryer cone, and miraculously the shrink would work. Now, what we found is once one big company partners with you, many very quickly join. So after Walmart took it, Home Depot took it, and so on and so forth. And we went from doing 70,000 in sales in 2004 to by 2007 we were at 3.5 million in sales of worm poop. And 2 very interesting legal things happened in the process. One is we got calls from both Coke and Pepsi saying they still own the shape of the bottle, even if it's garbage, even if it's packaging something that has nothing to do with their product. So after a lot of legal finagling, we now have the world's only license to package shit and use Coke and Pepsi bottles and sell it. Thank you. The other thing that happened is as you grow ever, you always hurt someone else. Typically there's some cannibalization. So Miracle-Gro ended up filing a major lawsuit against TerraCycle saying that we had developed a product that was so confusingly similar to theirs that you, the consumer, could not tell them apart. Now let me just be clear. That's TerraCycle, worm poop in a soda bottle. This one here is Miracle-Gro. Again, that's TerraCycle, that's Miracle-Gro. The challenge with these major lawsuits is that they're designed to hurt the little company. Because in America, when you win or lose a lawsuit, you don't pay, if you win, you don't, the other party doesn't pay your legal bills. Or if you lose, you still have to pay your legal bills as well. And for us, that was $250,000 a month. So the way we ended up solving this particular battle is we went to the media. We launched a website called suedbyscots.com. We were getting monstrous amounts of press, and within 9 months ended up settling. And it gave me to a really interesting turning point, which is we now built up this worm poop business. It was quite nice. We had sort of danced with our big competitor and came out quite well through it. what's next? Was what was special about TerraCycle liquid worm poop in a soda bottle? Or was it that we rethought garbage? And I've always tried to think big, so the question was, could we go to that next step? And so I come back to this question, what is waste? First, really important to think about, waste does not exist in nature. That's like basic, in elementary school we learn this, the whole ecosystem. If not elementary school, in The Lion King they talk about it. The whole circle of life thing, there is no waste. There's only one creature, us, humans, that make waste. But I would say it's very modern, this whole idea of humans making waste. And I'd say it's only about 100 years old as a concept for two key reasons. Waste is basically equal to major ridiculous consumption. Think about today, who here actually fixes their shoe? Anyone cobbled their shoe in the past? Wow, okay, that's not bad. If you went back 80 years ago, everyone would have put their hand up. And that's actually a pretty big percentage. Or people don't mend things. Fashion makes us constantly change things, even though the clothing hasn't expired, just the fashion has. So consumption is a big piece. The second one is not only do we consume a lot, but we make it all from stuff nature doesn't know what to do with, complex materials. And if you add those two things together, that equals the modern concept of garbage. And I underline modern because people, I think, we get used to the fact that it's been around, but it hasn't been around forever. It's really, really young as an idea. But it's big. 5 billion tons a year is the global problem, of which 25% ends up in the ocean. And there's not just one Pacific Ocean gyre, there's 6. And I visited them. It does not look like that photo. If I put a photo up of the ocean gyre, the Great Garbage Patch, it would look like normal ocean because it's plastic sludge. You couldn't even take it out with a net. It's a massive environmental atrocity. And 25%, 1.25 billion tons a year, ends up in our oceans. But every system, when there's negatives, are opportunities. So let me talk about the positive side of it. When you look at waste, we found that there's really two systems. There's things that are recyclable, which are 5 things only. Rigid PET like a soda bottle, rigid HDPE like a shampoo bottle, rigid aluminum like a beer can, simple paper like a newspaper, simple glass like a wine bottle. Those things are recyclable only because of the economics. The cost of collecting aluminum and the cost of processing aluminum is less than the value of the aluminum. That is why aluminum cans are readily recyclable in almost every country in the world, and why cigarette butts are not. Now, anything that isn't recyclable, which is about 80% of all objects, just look around the room today. There's almost nothing here that is recyclable. Our clothing isn't, the chairs we're sitting in isn't, the carpet isn't, and all of this will become waste in a relatively short period of time. Those end up in one of only 2 linear systems. There's only 2. Either a landfill, put it in a pile, or burn it. And in the burning scenario, 90% of incineration facilities don't produce energy around the world, only 10% do, and even that is relatively destructive to the environment. I can chat more about this later, but that's the current landscape. But the question is, how do you look at waste as an opportunity? And I would argue if you look at not a new object, but a used object. Let's take a used coffee cup. That's very different than a new coffee cup because you wouldn't want to drink coffee from a used coffee cup. A used coffee cup, I would argue, is made up of 3 things, any type of garbage. First, it's made up of composition. What is it? It's paper and plastic, a used coffee cup. The second, it's not just a pile of paper and a pile of plastic in my hand. It looks like a coffee cup, so it's also the features. What is the shape? Not just the composition, but the features. And then there's a third very important thing is what was, not what is now, but what was the intention of the coffee cup, which in the case of a coffee cup was to hold a beverage. It wasn't to do anything else, it was to hold a beverage. And if you look at those 3 things, we ended up, after we got through this, developing a hierarchy of waste, where we found that there's really only 5 things you can do with waste. The bottom 2, landfill or burning, are linear solutions. In other words, you only do them once, and after 50 different life cycle analyses, they all come back to say those all produce carbon, even if you have the most efficient waste-to-energy facility. But there's 3 circular solutions we found. Circular meaning you can do them over and over. The first, and the very best, is reuse, because it values all 3 aspects of the waste. Its intention, its features, and the composition. Now, everything I'm going to show you here may look dinky, but everything I'm showing you is over $1 million each slide as you're going to see this today, just to put it into perspective. Reuse can happen in typically 3 categories. Electronics, we do about 1 million pieces of electronics now a month, easily refurbished, sold. It's a pretty simple process. Clothing, I think you can imagine, very, very simple, sort of like the Goodwill model, but there's other models in there. But take an area which may be not so obvious, simple-shaped, rigid objects. The worm poop, which is reuse, ended up being flavored into this product line. That bird feeder was the #1 bird feeder in America 5 years ago. It's just a 2-liter soda bottle upside down. Or something that may not seem that obvious. Last year, we took 35 million butter packages. This is with Unilever. We found that they're the exact same size as planting pots. If anyone here is a gardener, you know the black things, you know, that you buy your plants in and they're not recyclable. We just put a hole in the bottom of a Unilever butter tub, and 35 million plants at Walmart looking like that were packaged directly in used butter tubs or margarine tubs. That's reuse. But that's very limited. Only about 1% of the garbage we collect can in fact go into reuse. Chewing gum, for example, could not be reused, or it could be, it just wouldn't be all that pleasant. Then there's upcycling. Upcycling does not value the intention, but does value the material and the features. But a juice pouch was never intended to be a backpack, even though it makes a great backpack. Upcycling is really fun, because it's just subject to your imagination. Here's pet products. Here is toothbrushes made into pens. We just did 100,000 of these pens in Mexico for Colgate. Instead of now giving away new pens, this is how they give away pens now. Movie film, or corks, or computer equipment, circuit boards, vinyl records, mail bags. Here's shower curtains. Here are speakers made from, this is flexible packaging like M&M's packaging, all the way to stationary products, a soccer ball, the shoes. So it's actually a very indicative example of how we make products. TerraCycle stopped manufacturing directly when we changed our business in 2007 to be not just worm poop, where we take in the waste, we create new materials, and then we work with companies here like Timberland, who then integrates the waste into their expertise, making a shoe. Now this shoe has a Starbucks coffee bag on the outside, and the inside is wine cork. You just couldn't see that. It's about 25% made from waste. And it's really unlimited. Now, okay, these are more couture products. This is an example of a dress made from 6,000 used peanut M&M wrappers. That's now in the Museum of Modern Art. That was an amazingly fun dress to get the raw material together for. Really enjoyed the process. Yeah, we'll let that go. Either way, these are some other examples. So it looks like at retail. Even our offices all around the world. This is our office in Germany. Made every aspect except the computers is garbage. Here's our office in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. Everything made from waste. Or our headquarters in New Jersey. Everything made from waste except the computer. And actually, interior design cost on this is a 25,000 square foot office, so it's not insignificant, was cheaper than normal interior design. Even the cheapest possible choice. This was way cheaper because it's garbage. Now, there's a problem with upcycling is that, again, it is limited. Not everyone wants to walk around with a Capri Sun backpack. Not everyone wants to have an office like this. And because of that, it's only about, although, wouldn't it, I mean, everyone should have an office like this, honestly. That's about 3% of the garbage we collect. So where does the rest go? Into what we call recycling, but recycling things that were never recyclable before. Recycling doesn't value the intention, doesn't value the features, but does value the composition, because that's what you go after. You destroy everything else. You just go after what it is made from. This may look like normal pet products, but it's 100% pet food bags. This may look like a normal toy, Mr. Potato Head, but it's unique. It's 100% potato chip bags. So what we found is every type of waste stream, without exception, can go into one of those three solutions, sometimes one, sometimes two, sometimes all three: reuse, upcycling, and recycling. Here, juice pouches. Today we collect 500,000 juice pouches a day in the US. We also do that in 8 other countries. Can be upcycled 1% or recycled, about 99% of the waste we collect. Flexible packaging, upcycling, and recycling. What's even also very exciting is now that we work with major companies, we're able to take the waste and put it back into their product. That Expo pen there may look very normal, but it's the world's first pen made from used pens. Next year, you'll see the world's first toothbrush from used toothbrushes with the world's biggest oral care company, or the world's first cosmetic products from used cosmetic products. This never has happened before. And it's really exciting when we can own and really focus on creating unique products made entirely from waste, especially the ones where you don't even know it's made from waste. That's why recycling and that melting process is what we do a lot of focus on. So how does this all happen? Let's just go back to the story for a minute, because hopefully I've showed you it is possible. For example, this year, we launched in Canada 4 months ago the world's first national solution to used cigarettes, actually partnering with Big Tobacco, which is sort of ironic for a company like mine. That program just launched 2 days ago in the US with RJ Reynolds, and the Associated Press just picked it up a few hours ago. If you Google cigarette recycling, you'll see a few hundred articles that just came out in the past hour on our national American solution for cigarettes. This year, cigarettes. Used chewing gum goes live in Brazil in 2 months, where we can now recycle and collect used chewing gum. And dirty diapers will be live in a few months here in the US. That's a special one for my American friends. So how does this all happen? Let's go back to the moment. So we just finished the lawsuit. We had grown the business, and we thought we're going to go beyond just worm poop. And instead of focusing on making products from waste, we decided to focus on collecting waste and creating solutions to the waste. And the product was really the byproduct of the solution, which is collecting waste. So we're not in the business of making products, although we do make huge amounts and wide range of products. We're in the business of solving waste, and the product is the answer, but it's not the purpose. That's why I would say never buy one of our products. Please, don't. What I would suggest, though, is send us garbage. That's the key purpose to how we work. So we thought about what is the trick to solving waste, and I'll tell you, it's one simple thing. The reason that all the garbage today ends up going to landfill or is burned for energy is for one problem, is that it's all mixed together. And we have such a wide range of stuff that we put in a garbage can that it's so hard to take it all apart and create true solutions. But if it comes to you already sorted, then everything, without exception, can be in a circular process. And just think, that's the nature of the world anyway, in the universe, that it's supposed to be circular, so it should naturally go there. You know, it's intended to go there, which is very nice. We have a lot of intention on our side. So collection became everything. We decided to create a collection system that works as follows. You can do this here in the US. You go to TerraCycle.com. There you will see 62 unique waste streams, and new one gets added about every 2 to 4 weeks. Let's say you're interested in collecting pens. Obviously, I see many disposable pens being used, so that could be an interesting waste stream. You can sign up for as many or as few as you wish. You sign up, take a cardboard box, fill it up with pens of any brand, even though here in the US, Sanford finances the program, so it's always brand agnostic. Then you download a free UPS shipping label from us, so you can send it in from anywhere in the US completely for free via UPS. They'll even come pick it up from you if you don't want to take it to them. Goes to one of our 5 DCs here in the States where it's checked in. And then not only do we take it and recycle it, or upcycle it or reuse it, but we also donate 2 cents for every piece of waste collected. Typically, every waste stream is a little different, but the typical donation is 2 cents per piece of waste into your account, and you get to then choose any school or NGO to give that money to. And this process is now working well in 22 markets, countries where there is very low recycling rates like Argentina, all the way to countries with very high recycling rates like Germany. Just to show you how big this becomes, because it could seem like a very granola dinky thing. We launched, again, 2007 was this big turning point for us. In 2007, we launched our first collection program. Now we have a few hundred for juice pouches, and in the first year, we collected a modest 22,000 pouches. Today, that program collects 500,000 per day, which is 3% of all America's juice pouches. We collect 2% of all America's pens, 1% of America's chip bags, 1.5% of all candy wrappers in the country, and so on and so forth. Many brands came in. This is just a sample of a small set of partners. And when you look at an example like Kraft, it's not Kraft in one country with one brand. We work with Kraft in 14 countries with all their brands. And they have found that by leveraging this system, they can make their waste nationally recyclable. And that is key and profound, and it allowed us to move from being just a consumer product, word poop in a soda bottle with a twist. I mean, you know, unique and awesome and really cool, but still a fertilizer competing against the likes of Miracle-Gro, to be completely on our own. And that's one of the unique messages I hope to share with you, is that green is way overhyped compared to what is actually going on beneath the surface. I was presenting an award yesterday in New York for a group, a thing called the Social Venture Network. If you're interested in green business, svn.org is the epicenter of net impact. Is fantastic. This is sort of like a distillation of all the leaders in the green business movement. I had a chance to present awards to 4 really close friends of mine: Gary Hirschberg, who runs Stonyfield Yogurt, Jeffrey, who used to run Seventh Generation, Ben and Jerry from the ice cream company, and the folks who run Organic Farmers Cooperative. And what's depressing, honestly, is that every time I go talk or at a green conference or run into green things, it's always the same guys. And if you add all organic food companies together, it's about $3 billion, and that's it. That's nothing. Oreo does more than $3 billion a year, just to put it, or Oreo and maybe Chips Ahoy combined do more than that. That's the entire organic product movement, period, in the US is 3-point-something billion. So there's so much crazy opportunity. And if you can solve a problem for someone like these guys, it can go everywhere. And it spreads very, very fast. As an example, we launched Europe in 2009. Today we work, we have 1.6 million people in Europe actively collecting. You can see each red dot is a collection point around the country, and it's still growing phenomenally fast. Or a market like Argentina is really interesting, because if you've ever been to Buenos Aires or Patagonia or anywhere in Argentina, you'll notice something interesting, is that there is no recycling. It just simply doesn't exist yet because the government hasn't invested infrastructure into making it exist. And what was really cool is we went in and everyone said, you're insane to open in Argentina. First, it's insane to even incorporate there and all the process, and that is truly insane. But then people said, well, people won't collect. And what's amazing is that the way a country's infrastructure is around recycling has nothing to do with people's demand to do it. It just means that the government hasn't gotten together and put boxes out there. It doesn't mean people don't want to collect. It's just there isn't an opportunity to collect. And if there isn't an opportunity, you're not going to keep the garbage at home hoping that one day, years from now, there will be an opportunity. You're going to throw it out until there is one. And so today, just in one example program in Argentina, there's about 200,000 to 300,000 pieces of waste coming in per month from 1.5 million Argentines. Today, the system now operates in 22 countries. Every red dot's a country where we operate, and every blue dot is a market we're opening in 2013. Actually, we're adding Japan and South Korea very soon as well in 2013. So then I want to just leave you with one other piece, which is more on the entrepreneurial side than on, so this is the green business TerraCycle side, which is how we do marketing. Marketing is very important to create awareness. But one unique thing about TerraCycle is our marketing is negative cost. Our marketing department is a profit center, not a cost center. And in almost every company around the world, marketing is a cost center. So how do we do this? First, it starts with publicity, PR. We first don't use agencies. We go out and have internal staff who run publicity. And everyone has a unique story. We have a very unique story, but everyone has one. You just have to formulate it, shape it, and get it out there. And you can start getting press. This started in 2003 for us. We were averaging 1 article every 2 weeks. Today we average 25 articles per day, if you don't include circulation. If you did, it would be closer to 200 articles per day. As the media grew, we then realized that the next step is to become the media. And by the way, the media, we actually do the service is we use it, so why it's negative cost is that it becomes a service. So today we launched cigarettes, for example, in the US, and there's been already hundreds, I think 800 articles written about the tobacco launch already in the past 5 hours. It only went live at 1 o'clock today, Eastern time. And yet that service is billed to, in this case, RJ Reynolds, the tobacco company, or it's Mars or whoever, because we're creating recycling solutions for them and we become the press agency, but it's all about TerraCycle as well. It's a very sort of neat way to do that. Now, when you then get a lot of press, the next step is you become a blogger, you become an expert. So we started doing that, and now we blog for 15 major blogs, from the New York Times to Huffington Post to Tree Hugger and many others, and you get paid to place your propaganda. I get paid to put articles into the New York Times, which frankly every time is subtle propaganda for whatever I believe in. Then the next step from there is write books or create magazines. We've done all of those. The step above that would be to get your own TV show. We've done that as well. You can tune into our show, Garbage Moguls, on the National Geographic Channel and watch, in a way, our propaganda on how we solve waste. It's very entertaining and hilarious and funny, but hopefully you'll be much more excited about TerraCycle afterward. That is all examples of negative cost media. And then the next step was, beyond that, how do we then get the brands to use their might to promote the program? So the first thing we did is we went to brands and said, did you know if you have a national collection system for waste where anyone in the country can participate, you can actually claim that your product is nationally recyclable. Now, of course, then we have to work to make it actually big so it's not just a statement with no meat behind it, but you can say that. And that really is interesting for companies like Colgate, which is that top one in the red, where they can now say that a toothbrush is nationally recyclable in the US and 5 other countries. And that message today is on 40 billion packages per year, which is a great way to get awareness out. Or many companies do commercials about the system and highlight this in their marketing, and have seen that the more they market green and recyclable, the better their sales go. So as a way to finish, I'm going to play you 3 commercials from around the world. This one is here in the US with a kids brand.
Capri Sun, what do you do when the fun is done? With Capri Sun, you can upcycle. Empty Capri Sun packs can get made into something new again.
Oh, cool.
Capri Sun has teamed up with TerraCycle to help you make a difference and raise money for your school. Go here to find out more. Respect the pouch. Respect the planet.
So that's Capri Sun. I'll show you another one now. We'll go to, I think this is from Ireland. This is, I believe, Johnson & Johnson. So very
Welcome to Wipe Out Waste. It's a new initiative from the team at Johnson's Baby to help you reduce waste. Just collect your empty packs of Johnson's Baby wipes, register online for a prepaid postage label, and send your packs to our friends at TerraCycle. They'll turn them into stylish, eco-responsible products. And for every pack you send in, money will be credited to a charity of your choice. Help wipe out waste with Johnson's Baby. Sign up today.
And I'll leave you with one last one. If you speak Portuguese, that will help. This is from Brazil. And if you don't, I'll help translate a little bit. So prepare, drink.
Mas faz o quê?
And then she talks about how you can save the planet basically one pouch at a time.
E faça parte da Brigada Tanque de Reciclagem. As embalagens recicladas ajudam o planeta. E vocês ainda fazem dinheirinho que ajuda a escola e um monte de gente. Vamos fazer? Entre no site de Tanque. Preparou? Bebeu? Faz!
And, to be honest, what always gets me very excited is when brands that are spending millions of dollars on commercials that basically are, I'm good, I'm awesome, I taste good, or whatever the message is, buy me. That's most commercials in the world. When then they move their money into spending commercials or money on things like this. And what's been interesting is through this approach, by leveraging our own internal assets and creating negative cost marketing convincing the brands to really leverage it in their own methods, we've been able to create phenomenal awareness, now having about 35 million people around the world collecting without ever spending any money, and in fact making money in the process. I think that's one of the key things I want to leave with you. TerraCycle, what is our key goal? Our goal is to eliminate the idea of waste by collecting, solving, and promoting each piece of garbage, one country at a time. And today we're in a world where if you look at just waste, and you look at what are the innovative companies in waste, there's not that many. And there's not that many innovative green companies. There are some here and there, but there's a huge, ridiculous opportunity to get involved and to do something really fun. And we're in a mode, I think, where social entrepreneurship is really, it was born 25 years ago, but now is the moment to sort of create social entrepreneurship 2.0, which is not just taking existing models like yogurt and making them organic, like Stonyfield has done, but going that next twist to really create models that make money while solving a profound issue. In our case, it's waste, but there's many, many profound issues out there that you can solve in a highly profitable way. So with that said, I want to say I'm really excited to be a part of this whole week, and I'm very excited that you're here listening to this topic. It's really encouraging, and I look forward to being a part of the panel, and thank you for your attention.